All right, welcome back to another Process to Perform training video. Check us out at process2perform.com. Check us out on Instagram at process2perform, Twitter, unrivaled ESS. I'm going to start this week by breaking down a couple series from one NFL game from the past weekend. And what I want to show you is not only schematically what the coaches are trying to accomplish, kind of what message are they sending the other team with those initial series, but also what are the technical habits, right? What are the technical processes that are something to look for the rest of the game, something that can maybe falter on one side or the other? See, are we getting good movement off the ball? Are we taking bad first steps? Is our pad level too high? Are we tipping stances? Those kind of things influence the outcome of the game. It's something we never talk about. So this is all about in the box, trench warfare, offensive line versus defensive line, linebackers versus running backs versus tight ends. I love this stuff. I hope you enjoy it. Here's the first video of two.
All right, so I want to do a deep dive on really what's going on in the box, right? What's going on in the trench warfare part of this game. Games are won or lost on the line of scrimmage. You see everything that happens with the skilled players is really oftentimes a consequence of who's winning and losing up front. So this game in particular was interesting to me. I'm watching on Monday Night Football, and there's an ex-quarterback in the booth, and all the quarterback can talk about is how, Carson Wentz is struggling, but it's all the fault of the offensive line. And, you're just getting beaten over the head over and over and over. It's the offensive line's fault. They're playing terrible. They're giving up pressures. They're giving up sacks. They're doing all these things. So I wanted to just take a look at this game because I know that the Philadelphia Eagles have had one of the best offensive lines with 4 All-Pros on their team at one time for the last couple of years, right? They probably have a couple of Hall of Famers. This guy right here is a Hall of Fame player. He's playing out of position. He broke his toe, so he went from left tackle to right guard. So they are injured. Jason Kelsey's really the only bona fide kind of star starter that's playing in position right now. You've got a new left tackle. You've got a new right tackle, and then obviously you have your right guard out. Brandon's been out with an ACL, I think, for a couple of months here. Lane Johnson's out. You are shuffling. You are struggling. You're playing against a Seattle Seahawks defensive line right now. Since Dunlap came over from that trade for the Bengals, has really been playing well. So I just want to go through the first couple series on both sides of the ball, then highlight a couple plays that I think were crucial to the game. So let's start here. It's 1st and 5. Excuse me. It's 1st and 10, and we have an offsides here as we go through this play. But you'll see the Seahawks are lined up a 7-man box.
You can see this all night. The Seattle Seahawks are going to do something a little bit unique to their usual defense. They're going to line up in a 5-man line all night because KJ Wright, you see here, is going to be lined up over that right tackle the entire evening.
So what they've done is they've moved their 4 defensive linemen. They're going to cover both guards in the center. And what that does, the Seattle Seahawks are essentially saying, we don't think your personnel can defeat all of our personnel on every play, right? So they're just playing a numbers game. They think one of these guys is going to beat all these players, some of which are playing out of position, some of which are new to the game. They're going to win more than they're going to lose, and therefore it's just a question of whether or not Wentz gets rid of the ball, the running back, finds the right hole and makes it a spectacular play. Because in football, defensive linemen know that most offensive linemen, especially in pass pro, are worried about hanging on. They're not worried about actually winning. They're worried about hanging on until the quarterback gets rid of the ball. So depending on the confidence of your quarterback, depending on how things are going for you, what kind of scheme you run, how many times you just do straight drop back, etc., that number can vary from game to game. So you're going to get your wins if you keep doing things the right way, your process is right, because more often than not, these guys are going to feel the pressure of giving up that big play, giving up that sack, right? And their technique's going to falter. So it's just playing that numbers game over and over and over. So again, we're going here 1st and 5. You can see that they've got 3 linebackers in the game. This is a 7-man box. So really you've got 5 offensive linemen, running back, tight end, 5 in the box. You got a jam front. First play of the game. Okay, so we got a drop ball. I don't know if it was tipped or not. Plenty of time in the pocket. I want to show it a couple things that are important. One, this tackle is in what we used to call race or 2-point position. This is a pass pro stance. His feet are narrow, okay? He's in a pass pro stance. Hands on his knee. You look over here. Hands are crossed, hands on his knee. Has a base that suggests he's looking out at 50. The suggestion is here, right, that they're going to go pass pro on this first play. I think that stuff is important because it's going to affect how these guys make reads over the course of the game. The other thing that's really important here is that when you watch this left tackle in particular, on this first play, you can already see that he's going to be kicking a little bit wider than maybe we want. So he's wide. You got a 4-eye or a 3 technique at number 91 playing that wide rush angle, and they do a great job of collapsing this down because that guard does such a good job of punching and extending, okay? But that could be a problem later on in the game. Okay, so we go to the next play. Jam front. It's now 2nd and 5, right? And what do we see that's different? Stance is different now, isn't it? Stance is different. This stance is wider. Okay, so what does that mean? That means that more than likely, in this formation, with this running back where he is, this is more likely a play-action pass or some kind of RPO. Okay, now you see that they're going to bring the dime linebackers now. Williams is really going to call him dime linebacker. He's coming down in the box. Okay, so they have enough people to account for the running game. And you just see now, as we come off the ball, these are tells, right? So RPO, Wentz gets hit. And again, as we're looking at this a little bit closer, there's a couple things I'd like to point out. One, first of all, let's start with the tight end. Great job by this tight end. Running off the ball, hands inside, doing a great job of controlling that line. That's a phenomenal job against a really good player. Let's go back. Second, guys. Double team here. They should get vertical movement. Vertical movement in the running game is what breaks big plays, because the linebackers and the secondary players don't know where to go. You never want to see that crossover, but they do a great job of getting vertical movement, spinning this guy around. Phenomenal. Okay, so now we look. Where's the problem come? Where's the pressure come from? Well, if you look at Kelsey's footwork, false step, hand opens up with the second step. He's going to hold here, so he just lets him go. It's not worth it, right? Because he knows this is going to be a quick pass or it's going to be this handoff. Again, opportunity to make a play here. Unfortunately, they don't make the play, so now you're in 3rd and 5. There are plays to be made here, though, and I think that's what's kind of the important thing. Now, so you're 3rd and 5. Seahawks bring everybody up on the line of scrimmage, right? So you got 7 people up. You got five blockers plus running back. So the offensive line is going to be responsible for the 4 down linemen, right? 43, 99, 94, 95. And then they're going to pick one of these guys. That means the running back and the quarterback are responsible for the other linebacker plus the safety. Now, with Adams down on the line of scrimmage here, there's a couple things he can do. He can be an add-on blitzer, so which means he can be in man protection and going after 20 if 20 stays in the block, so he can just be an extra guy, right? Or he could be doing something else and just come in regardless. So as we watch this, okay, you see him creeping in. The running back's eyes look like they're over here on 54, so the assumption is that's where he's going. We're right. Okay, so everybody's accounted for. We had drop. These guys are looping out, so we're basically trying to overload, and what they're saying is the guard and the guard here are not going to be able to get back in time to help out on Adams, right? So this drop and this looper have affected these two guys enough where they're not going to be able to get back in. They're going to be on different levels, and there's going to be an opportunity there to pressure the quarterback. Quarterback has time. Wagner defeats his man, right? Not in time to make the play. So he can step into that throw. Still incomplete pass, so now it's going to turn over to the Seahawks. So Seahawks, on the other hand, first series. So if you think about the first series and the way that sets the tone for the game for the Eagles, okay, you had 3 passes. So basically the offensive line right now is thinking like, okay, we're on our heels. We did get to do an RPO, so we did get to come off the ball on the right side of the ball. We showed that we can come off the ball and move these humans, right? They created incredible movement against 50 and against 90 on the right side of the football. The tight end, the tackle, and the guard did an excellent job, even though the tackle did cross over. So they know they can move these guys off the spot, right? But they have no success so far. And now they're looking at the quarterback's been knocked down twice, once because of an RPO, but he has been knocked down twice or knocked at least pressured twice. So not something as an offensive line is what you want to see. So let's look at the Seahawks here. 5 down, not bringing anybody extra to the party. Defensive line of Philadelphia is their strength, particularly this guy right here, and then obviously Graham. Great players. Attacking players, you see their stances. They're coming downhill, challenging that gap, playing a 2-eye so you can challenge this gap or you can take him straight down the middle. You look at the stances here from the offensive line. 3-point, kind of a power stance, good hip hinge. Dwayne Brown's a great player. This guy's an absolute beast. He's been a beast for years. Ayupati. Here you're a little bit higher. Your foot's pointed out. Again, if your foot's pointed out like this, remember it's easy to open up this hip, right? Because you can't activate that right glute. Let's just see what this play is. It's going to be a drop back pass, quick pass. Look at the speed at which Russell Wilson gets the ball out. I think that's a big part of their offense, right? So as opposed to what happened before, we can short set at left guard. Let's just break down one guy. You look at Ayupati. I think he jumps into this a little bit, which you don't want. You always want it to be balanced. You want to take one step, then two step. Every kick has two steps. He's kind of jumping his feet, get wide, but does a great job of jumping the guy, pressing, and now he's having that confrontation at the line of scrimmage on a three-step drop, so his guy's not going to be any part of this play. Okay, so you come back. Now you have a tight end. There's a couple things that are interesting here, to me at least. I think his stance is a little wider. I think that tells me something. Again, I'm just looking for keys, right? I'm just looking for keys. I think his stagger's a little bit different. Looks like he's going to push off this inside foot, right? So that could be a pass. But 89's right here. Why is he there? What would be the purpose? There's a couple things that 89 would be there for. To clip, to show that he's going to hit him, right? To get that tight release, to make this guy either come inside or come straight up the field, not be too wide a rusher, right? Or he could down block on him. To bring another tight end in, so now you have a lead, fake, and throw. So again, we don't know if this is predetermined. He knows this guy's going to flow hard with that fake run, but then obviously that backside of DK Metcalf, great play. Again, these plays, you look on the backside here, this all happens. So what does this play do? Because they script these first 15 probably, right? It alerts this Brandon Graham against not as good of a tackle as he is a defensive end, that he's going to have to be on the lookout for this all game. It alerts these guys that they don't know whether it's coming or going, as far as these guys are running, playing run action at Fletcher Cox. He's showing toss. We're seeing flow, and then we're opening up on the backside for an easy pass, pitch and catch. Right? And so backside, all these guys have to do is, again, get on their man quickly. Even if they lose late, that ball's going to be gone. And that's really the difference in offenses. It's also the difference in the mindset of the quarterbacks. So we have our first real run set of the game. You can see the Eagles are really jammed up here. We have about two tight ends here on the Seahawks side. Still running that 2-eye, running that wide 3 technique, attacking. Okay, but you're jammed up here. You got problems. But sometimes this actually creates problems for the offensive line because they don't know where to go. Let's see what happens. Okay, so again, let's just spotlight kind of one guy and see how this is affected. How this affects the game. Ideally, again, vertical displacement right here creates problems for the defense. Vertical displacement creates problems for the defense. But to create vertical displacement, you got to take a timing step, second step strike through his pads upfield, so this guy can take his 68-inch drop step, second step in the ground, and then we're driving this direction. We want to end up in this guy's lap, ideally, right? If you are short, if you lose leverage on your first step, you're going to be short on your second, your pad level is going to be high, and you're going to get strung out this way, which I think is what happens here. Okay, loses leverage, crosses over, he's high. Because he's high, we're getting strung out, right? Easy for this guy to cut back and make a play. And really, there's no lane. Like, imagine right here, if this human is moved back a yard, 2 yards, this back can hit this downhill so quickly, right? So quickly. And then we look at the backside as we're going through this. And again, you're dealing with some really good athletes here on the backside. So what happens to this left tackle? Well, no leverage gained on your first step. Okay, so you're short, which makes you usually, more often than not, high into contact. You can see he's high into contact. Now you're playing against an extremely powerful human. Your feet are close together. You have no leverage. And now it's just you're trying to stop the bus from running you over. And it's problems. Right, it's problems. So it's really just, those are two technical things that are really actually easy to fix. Right, just adjusting your landmarks and adjusting your expectations for your first and second step. Brought 3 tight ends to the party. Now, if you've got a Mercedes Lewis, if you've got a George Kittle, if you've got a Gronkowski, bringing tight ends to the party is great in the run game because some of those guys are extremely good with their hands and they drive defensive ends off the ball. Now, I don't know a lot about these players, so we'll have to see, but bringing 3 guys in basically means you're going to have an 8-man box, right? And so this is a run look, run play action pass kind of look for these guys. Again, what do we see that's different here? Okay, this man's into 3-point now. Is he fully committed to that 3-point? I'm not quite sure. Kind of a trick and play. Okay, so we got 3rd and 5 here. So 3rd and 5 with a quarterback like Wilson, you can do pretty much anything you want. All right, so as we look out, first step, feet pointed towards the sideline, hands down. Okay, kick, we're going to assume he's going to take a second drag. This right here, though, this is a problem. He's going wide. This confrontation is going to happen early, and over the course of the game, that is going to be a problem. So the Seahawks get him here with a quick count, right? They hustle up to the line of scrimmage. There's still a little bit of confusion. You see we're pointing around. We had the defensive lineman shifting, but the other one didn't shift. So we're quick counting out the ball. These two strong men over here taking care of business, creating a seam. Great job by the offensive line. Sticking with that 2 tight end formation. Quick 3-step drop. You see the confusion here. Looks like they might have got a flag here. All right, so we're 1st and 10. Again, great opening drive for the Seahawks. You contrast the 2 drives, right? You contrast the kind of plays they're running, the personnel packages that you're using, the way that that they've run a couple trick plays, some play action, a lot of quick passes, getting the ball to the quarterback's hands, building confidence in everybody, right? I just love the way that the Seahawks think about building their offense over the course of a game. Okay, so we look again. The Eagles are going to stay who they are, right? They're an attacking defense up front. Linebackers read hard and flow hard. We look here. What's different? Is there anything different that we see? Not really. Like they're doing a pretty job of masking their stances. Okay, so we got our first big play of the game. One of the best in the game. If you just look in here, let's just break down 68 though, because there's 2 sides to every coin. So first off, you got that 2i you're playing against. You're playing against a great player. Okay. You've immediately lost. You've immediately lost the game, unfortunately. I've done this a million times. Both his hands are outside, right? So you've got a more powerful player going forwards, and you're trying to stop him by just slowing down, going backwards, and both of your hands are outside his cylinder. So you don't have hand control, okay? Second thing is you took a huge first step. Your second step's not in the ground when he hits you. So now you're off balance. And this problem is just something that's going to continue to compound. And all you're doing, again, the mentality isn't always winning. Sometimes the mentality is hanging on for dear life. And when you get in this position, it's just called survival mode. You're doing everything you can. But he's bear hugging instead of trying to retrace those hands because he's so worried about getting bowled back, and rightly so. Situations like this happen when you have explosive players playing against guys that don't have the greatest of technique. So, we got the first sack of the night. Okay, what's different here? This stance is different. 74 has a different stance now. Okay, so that means something. Let's see what this is. Obviously, the biggest indicator, okay, so this is a short trap. What's the biggest indicator that really, you can always look at this running back and figure out spatially where he is. If he's in this B gap or if he's wider than this B gap, he's probably not getting the ball. Right? If he's in close, he's probably at least going to have a fake. So this shows, and they're kind of ready for it. Now, you have to always wonder in situations like this when you watch these plays, if they've run this before. Again, I haven't done a real study on the Seahawks. But with the way he was standing, with his demeanor, you have to wonder if this linebacker knows, and that's why he beats this right tackle on the quick trap down block. If he knows what the play is. If he's making those kind of reads. Because I know these guys all watch film. Little action afterwards. Love it. So we're looking at this. Now, this tight end is a little bit, he's tighter than he has been, right? He's got a wide base. So you wonder what he's doing. Now, a big play in a lot of football now is because these guys aren't great inline drive blockers, is they like to run these guys backside and kind of wham block this backside in so they can cut this guy. They can just kind of throw their body in the way. And so we'll go push, 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 push. Leave this guy. Maybe he can dig him out. He can dig him out here. And now if you can cut this guy, really, if the left guard can take care of his man, you've got a big hole out the backside, right? So that's a play that you'll see a lot in the NFL now to kind of mask the fact that a lot of these guys are more receiver than they are blocker. Let's take a look what they do. Oh, so great. We saw this in the Packers last week. They fake it. They fake this wham play, knowing this guy's going to come down flat, not care, and he just bypasses them. We just don't make the play. This play side backer comes over the top and makes that play as well. Good read by the Eagles, but I love that play design. All right, we're getting down here. So again, not a big commitment in this three-point stance. You can see he's a little bit wider than the last player as far as relationship to that right tackle. Got a guy coming in motion, so we're guessing he's not whamming just because he's tighter and he's wider. All right. I love these plays. We're going to influence block here. All right, so we're going to influence block. And we're actually just going to let him go. And he's got to really account for the quarterback. Look at that action, what it does. You know, it's not pretty, but what that action does to 75. Right? He's disoriented, doesn't really know where the ball is. So, again, we should be trying to win on this backside B. Why does this play not work? Really? This play doesn't work because we're coming back to block him. 86 is coming back again. You see this. You see where 86 ends up here. From that position right there, okay? There's only one thing he can do. He's going to come backside, right? So you kind of know as a defensive lineman now, we're going to come here. This guy's coming at you, coming at you. We should have a backside B. They're influence blocking here to release, and then he's going to come back and wham. But because of the footwork of this player, because this player is short on his B block, so loses leverage, he's not gaining any ground towards play side, right? So his helmet's on the wrong side, his pads are on the wrong side. Right? I don't think 68, maybe he doesn't need to take that big of a step, but the truth is he has to get to this man. So now, fullback's trying to block 91. Takes him out, does a great job. It could be a high-low block, I think. But now we miss the next player. So not the outcome that you want. Okay, so you got 2nd and 3, right? 2nd and goal to go on the 3-yard line. Anything's on the table. You can run the ball, you can pass the ball. They're not in goal line defense, right? You've spread them out, so they're going to stay in their same package. Easy play action pass. Again, they're tenacious on defense. You watch this. This should never, ever, ever happen where this guy gets free because you have a double team. So if you have a double team, you take that good first step. Bring your second step with you and get your hands inside. If you have your hands outside, the guy's going to wrestle you sideways, right? Because your base is wide. Okay? So now you're going to open up like a can of sardines and have a pathway to the quarterback. Doesn't necessarily matter in this play. Does it affect the throw or not? I don't know. But it's not something you need, certainly. Again, anytime you have a double team, never lose. It's 3rd and 3 now. All options are on the table. So now he's in 2-point again. So last time he was in 2-point, he was trapping. I don't think they're going to trap now. I think they trap down here on the goal line. But you just start kind of thinking about what could happen here. We got a couple problems. So you're down in Philly, but there's no crowd. So first off, bad footwork, bad landmark, lets him get beat inside. Again, let's look at that. It's all about your first and second step, right? So we're kind of hopping into a position here. This is an inside play, and you're trying to get to his outside shoulder? I don't think that's right. You want to take this guy right down the spine because you've never let him beat inside. Like, you could just wall the guy and have a stalemate right here all day and call it a victory. But doing this, maybe it's consequences of he has to switch his head over and he's a little bit kind of disoriented. I don't know. Now you look on the backside with Pt.1. Again, he's a little late off the ball. Maybe he's trying to make a call right here. I'm not sure. The ball goes. He's a little bit late on the ball. So usually, hey, when you're late, you're going to step up a little bit. You're going to be a little bit tall. So Dwayne Brown's doing a great job, but he's not getting the movement he needs because Ayupati's too high and late off the ball. Backside linebacker comes in and actually makes the play when, I think in another circumstance, if Ayupati comes off that ball, if he's a little more cognizant of the snap count, might have a touchdown, which brings up a huge play here in the first series of the game. So again, these totally different series, right? You've had, I think you were, person 5, then 3 and out, ensuing 3 and out. No success. Haven't been on the field for a while now because the Seahawks put together a long series here. But it comes down to 4th and 2. And just absolute great play by this defensive line. 2 guys in particular. One, let's check out what's going on here. So we're going to get a crackback by DK Metcalf. We're going to get down block here. What's the problem? DK Metcalf's up foot is his inside foot. So what does he have to do? If this guy, first of all, if this guy has any indication he might get cracked, what's he going to do? He's going to jet upfield before he can make that play. How can you step into this block from this position? You can't. You just can't because your right foot's up. If your left foot's up, you could step right into this block. But you can't do it with this way, so now you're going to be a step slow. That's a problem. Again, we'll look at that first. So you're just running this jet sweep, the down block. He's got to overstep. So now he goes right in to the problem area. And then let's look at the obvious second problem here. This guy does a phenomenal job of just penetrating, but you got a negative step by the center, crossover. So again, when we talk about pad level initial footwork, number 1, gain leverage with your first step, second step down strike. If you don't gain leverage, if you lose leverage to your defender as a consequence of your spatial positioning, your second step is either going to be short and you're going to be too high, long, or you're going to be off balance. So in this case, the center knows he's got to get. He takes a bad first, long second crossover, too high, off balance, car crash, dumpster fire. Unfortunate, right? So a long drive for not a lot of payoff.
Okay, so as you can see, 1 or 2 series, we can break that out and make a whole lesson out of what is happening in individual matchups in that 1 or 2 series, what's happening schematically, what the coaches are trying to do to one another, and really what the message and the feeling of the game is going to be. I love that part of the game. Contextual intelligence. Don't always just watch clips. Watch a game series by series and understand what your opponent is bringing to the table, how he builds up his pass rush, right? How he sets in different opportunities, what his different stances mean. Have some contextual intelligence when you go to face your individual matchups, and then understanding the larger scheme and how he fits into it is really going to help you excel. Hope you enjoyed these clips. We're going to try to come up with a different video every week. We'll talk to you next time. Again, hit us up at Process to Perform on Instagram, Unrivaled ESS on Twitter. Talk to you soon. Thanks a lot.